Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sydney. I film cruelty-free beauty videos, and today's video is going to be products that I regret purchasing in 2020. So I'm happy to report that this year's basket and pool of products is definitely smaller than last year's group of products. I feel like even though I did have to put myself on a no buy for a couple months, I feel like I was much better about making intentional purchases and really thinking through my purchases and making purchases that were going to add value to my collection and to my life. And so I don't have too many products to talk about, and even the products that I am talking about, I don't hate them or think that they're terrible products. They're just not products that I think add a ton of value to my collection and the way that I use makeup and all of that. I do also want to say really quickly before we hop into it that possibly two of these products, I think only one though, of these products I did purchase technically in 2019, but it was at the very end of 2019, so I really didn't have enough time to make up my mind about it and really share my full thoughts. So I decided to just toss them in here just so we could get it out there how I was feeling about them. But without further ado, let's hop into today's video. Okay, just kidding. I do want to say one more thing before we hop in. I did film this look with the Raw Beauty Christie X Colourpop at Forest Sight palette. I did a little palette bingo with this palette and it was super fun. I'm not sure quite what order these videos are going to go up in, but they will both be up on my channel soon, and if this video is already up, I will be sure to link it down below. Alright you guys, first up we have a couple of cheek products that I want to talk about. I actually don't have any lip products in here, which is not super surprising because I've bought very few lip products over the past year. I just have so many in my collection. I feel like when I first started out with makeup, I was kind of into lip products, but obviously more into eyeshadow because eyeshadow has always been my weakness. But I feel like I took a really long break from buying lip products, and then I had this year where I went lip product crazy, so I'm still trying to work through those and figure them out. But I do have a couple cheap products that I wanted to mention. The first one is from Wannabe Cosmetics. It's their Studio 54 multi-chrome disco lighter. So I got sucked into the hype of this collection. The Studio 54 collection, the whole idea was really fun, but I don't know, I kind of wish I wouldn't have purchased the whole thing. I kind of wish I would have waited a little bit, watched some reviews, looked at some more swatches, but I just kind of got sucked into the hype of it all. There's two cheek products in this collection. There's this one, which is pink and has a blue shift to it, and then there's also a orangey goldeny similar cheek topper highlighter type deal. That one I don't regret quite as much because it was fun to top my cheeks with in the summer, added a really nice warm glow to my skin. This one is a little bit more difficult to wear, especially for me. It's definitely not a highlighter, it's definitely more of a cheek topper for me. When I try to wear it as a highlight, I definitely get a very strong cast, and this is a little bit glittery. So having a glittery highlighter has really not been a deal breaker for me in 2020, especially since I've been home for so much of the year, and I don't know, when I'm home filming, I just pile on all the glitter that I want. I'm naturally really not the look that I'm going for when I'm filming, but I just feel like this highlighter is not quite my jam. It's kind of fun to top over my cheeks when I'm doing maybe a blue purple look. It's kind of fun to add a little twist, but I just don't get a whole lot of use out of this one, and I feel like if I would have taken a second and thought about the product a little bit more, maybe I wouldn't have purchased it. This next product is actually a series of 3 that I have in my collection. I have talked a lot about the Kosas Color and Light Duos on my channel this year. I purchased 3 of the duos in March. It was so much an impulse buy. They were having a $20 sale and everyone was saying how fantastic they were, and I was like, you know, the world is ending right now, let's buy some cream blush. So I did. I bought 3 shades, and I really wish I would have kind of taken a pause with these and maybe explored some other cream blush options, because not that I don't like the cream blushes in here, I just have other favorites, and my current favorite cream blush is $6 at the drugstore. Just putting that out there. So the shades that I have are Tropic Equinox. Love the blush in this one. I used it so much over the summertime when I was doing no makeup. I would spot conceal, put a little bit of this in just my general cheek forehead zone to give myself a little bit of color and then run out the door. Really don't like this highlighter. It's a little bit too deep for me. Ooh, that was a lot of highlighter I just picked up. And with all the Kosas highlighters, I feel like the formula is just not one that I super love. I get a weird separation issue right there where like it meets my concealer and it just looks very funky, not natural at all. And that happens no matter what concealer I use in my collection or what method of application I use. It's really just not my favorite. So that actually looks really pretty on the back of my hand. Maybe I need to give this highlighter another go. But I do kind of regret purchasing so many of them because like I only really love like half the duo. The next shade that I purchased is the shade 8th Muse, which is a beautiful, beautiful like bubblegummy cool tone pink. I loved this blush shade. I feel like right when I bought it, this was probably my favorite one because it was kind of the springtime. I was wearing a lot of cool tones like blues and pinks and purples, and I was really enjoying pairing that blush with this because it's a little bit more cool toned. I feel like makeup, no matter like what it is, tends to pull a little bit warmer on my skin tone just because I guess of my undertones. So I felt like this was finally a product that actually looked like a cool tone blush on me, and I really loved that. I really love the shade. I also really like the shade of this highlighter. It's like kind of an icy champagne-y pink shade. Really pretty once again. But again, the formula issue, I just don't drive with it. And then the final shade I got is Velvet Melon. This is such a beautiful like warm peachy corally shade. Love the blush, love the highlighter shade, just not the formula. I just feel like there are so many other cream blushes on the market. I kind of wish I would have just ordered one of these, although I couldn't tell you which one because I feel like my favorite blush is probably Tropic Equinox, but like the highlighter that I love out of all of these is in the Velvet Melon duo, so I don't know. I kind of just wish I would have taken a beat, explored some other cream highlighters, and maybe circle back to these. Alright you guys, moving on to eye products. I believe this is the product that I bought in 2019. I think the Nomad one, maybe I did buy that in the spring. I thought for some reason I bought that last Black Friday, but maybe I did buy that in the spring. But I bought the Natasha Denona Chroma Crystal Top Coat in the shade Burnt Terracotta Green. I am obsessed with this kind of duochrome. If you guys caught my top 10 duochrome shadows in my collection video, you would have seen one of these kind of like greeny terracotta shades in that video. It's so pretty. And this was again an impulse buy. Are you sensing a theme with some products that I kind of regret purchasing? It's a very pretty shadow. It gives just like the slightest like little green flash, and while I think this product is pretty, I just have this shade so many times over in my collection and in formulas and textures that I enjoy a bit more. Jaded Glow 365 is much cheaper than this. Ooh, I think this might be broken. I think it's like flopping around in there. Anyways, Jaded Glow 365 is crazy similar to this, but it's so much sparklier and more metallic and intense, and I adore it so much more. So I have a really hard time justifying the price tag on this. I believe I paid, I want to say like 11 or 12 bucks on this. I got it during Natasha Denona's Black Friday sale last year, but still. Did I really need it? Is this adding value to my collection? Not really. Okay guys, next up we have a palette that I'm kind of sad to be putting in here because I just love the premise of it, but this is the e.l.f. x J.Kissa To The Rescue palette. This was J.Kissa's second collaboration with e.l.f., and I feel like I've told this story a couple times on my channel. I died over her first collab, and then I missed out on it. It went out of stock and then it never came back, and I was so sad that I didn't grab it. So when she did a second round of collaborations with e.l.f., I was like, yes, I'm gonna get the palette. I think I bought this on launch day, and I just don't feel like this palette is perfect for my preferences when it comes to color, at least using it by itself. Pulling like one or two shades from here when I'm creating another look with another palette is one thing, but using this palette by itself is just not my jam. It's a pretty, I mean, it's a rainbow color story, and I feel like at this point I like color and color really excites me, but I like a colorful curated color story, you know? I just don't want the entire rainbow. That's, I mean, like, it's fine and it sparks some creativity, but it would be so much more fun if it was a little bit more creative. And I'm not sure if I super love e.l.f.'s formula. I think I talked about this in my products that aren't with the hype video. e.l.f.'s shadow formula, I feel like everyone has just been raving about it for maybe like the past year and a half, and I don't get it. I think like it's fine. It's like okayly pigmented, it blends fine, but it's not really knocking my socks off, you know? I feel like there's better out there, especially for the, well, I mean, I guess kind of for the price tag. I feel like indie single shadows are super affordable, but like an indie palette is not quite as affordable as an e.l.f. palette. So yeah, am I going to declutter this? I don't think so. I'm lightly toying with the idea of depotting it, but I feel like depotting this palette is going to be an absolute nightmare. I don't think these are like magnetic shadows, so I may have to do some investigating there, but definitely one that I kind of wish I didn't purchase. And then this next palette really kind of snuck up on me that I threw in here. This was not an impulse buy. This was something that I was like, if this ever comes out, I'm purchasing it, like no question. And now that I kind of have it in my possession, it's kind of just not a letdown, but I feel like my makeup preferences have changed and maybe it's just not like adding as much value as I once thought it would. And that is the Artemis palette from Alter Ego, you guys. This is supposed to be a dupe of the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. I've never tried the Metropolis palette, but boy have I drooled over it for a very, very, very long time. I freaked out when that palette launched. I thought it was so, so gorgeous. I stalked Sephora for so, so long, waiting for it to go on sale. I think by the time it finally went on sale, I was just kind of like, don't know if I need you anymore, but like if Alter Ego would come up with a dupe of you, I'm definitely buying it, and lo and behold, they did. I believe I have a whole first impression video on this palette on my channel. If you guys want to check it out, I can link it down below. But I think it's a beautiful palette. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but there's just something about it that doesn't call to me like I thought it would. It might be that it's huge and there's tons and tons of shades in here. I've really been into smaller, more curated palettes lately. I mean, it's like, it is kind of neutral. No, it is pretty neutral. There's no kind of about it. It's a pretty neutral palette. I've really been gravitating towards color lately, but like even to reach for this for like an everyday palette, I feel like maybe the size is just a little bit overwhelming for me on those days where I'm like, okay, I need to get this done and get out the door, you know? So I don't hate it. I'm definitely not decluttering it. I'm 98% sure that Alter Ego's palettes are magnetic, so one day if I decide that this really isn't serving me as like a palette put together, I would happily depot it and put it into my singles collection. I've had so much fun with that. I'm actually planning on filming a depotting video tomorrow or maybe this coming week. But yeah, I feel like maybe I shouldn't have purchased this year. Alright, you guys, the final product that I kind of regret purchasing in 2020 is once again from the Nomad Studio 54 collection, and that is the Studio 54 palette. So when this was launched, it was advertised as a multi-chrome disco shadow palette, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so affordable. I want to say this was like $20-ish. It was pretty affordable. I was like, that is so affordable for multi-chromes, and I was like, I was at like the peak of my like multi-chrome shadow high. I had a Cleona order coming in. I was just very, very excited, and so I was like, wow, that's so cool. And I like watched the launch video and I looked at swatches and I was like, you know what, I'm not really seeing the shifts, but maybe it's just the lighting, maybe they're hard to capture on camera. And I got it home. These are not multi-chromes. I love Nomad's formula. I think that their mattes are really easy to work with. Their shimmers are gorgeous, but I'm not a huge fan of this palette. I just feel like these shadows are kind of strange. They're very sheer. They're more like shadow toppers, which is totally fine. I just wish the marketing reflected that, because when I was buying this, I was hoping for some like crazy beautiful shifts in shadow, and really, like, these are duochromes at best, you know? And I just wish that the marketing had been a little bit clearer. This was one of those purchases where I was like, maybe you should like take a little break from buying makeup and just like take a chill pill, because I feel like if I had taken 2 seconds and not just rushed to buy these on launch day, probably would have made a better decision, you know? So I think that's gonna wrap up this video, you guys. Let me know in the comments down below, do you have any purchase regrets of 2020? If they are, let's chat about them. Are they products that you like think are fine, they're just not really serving you in your collection, or are they products that you're just like, no, I can't deal with these anymore, I'm decluttering them? Let me know down below. I'd love to chat about it. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. But I think that's all for me today, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! You see my swatch fingers?